This is the official title, and this is the unofficial title. Just to give a bit of background for those that don't know me, the Crane Association, an incorporated society, and I also have Crane Training New Zealand Limited, which is a limited liability company with charitable status, and that's basically my trading arm. So, what does your business normally look like throughout the year? Probably something like this, because we can't all go in a straight line. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you about a bit about the tools that I use to keep my business on a straight line. But the first thing I want you to do is, if I can get everyone to stand. All right, please. I'm going to ask you some criteria, and if you don't meet that criteria, then can you please sit? If you're standing at the back, just cross your arms so I know that you're out. The first one is sit down or remain standing if you've got a 90% retention rate in your association. Brilliant. Remain standing if you have an annual increase of 20% in membership every year. Remain standing if you have diversified your... Oh, this is what I call the last man standing benchmark. If you've diversified your income from 100% subscriptions to 60%, 40% alternate revenue. And the last one is remain standing if you've doubled your revenue in the last 2 years. Using these tools and using the information that I've learnt through this organisation and through SMS, I've achieved those targets. That's my benchmark. So now I've got to work on how I'm going to improve on that. How many here, put your hand up, think you're not for profit? How about profit for sustainability? If you're not a not-for-profit, right, and you're working on break even for what you're doing, you're not going to be able to grow. You're not future-proofing your organisation. So what I want you to think about is profit for sustainability. Having money right throughout the year and having surpluses. I have $250,000 in reserves for my association. I have 223 members. So this is the guts of the matter, really. So I use Google Analysis, and I have 3 websites. I have the association website, which has a members-only area and has a directory of members on it. I have a Safe Crane website, which is a knowledge repository for the whole of the industry, and that justifies my charitable status. So I supply information to everyone. And in doing that, I've ripped all the information out of all the government departments and provided links to it on this website so they don't have to go hunting through, like WorkSafe's website. I mean, it's shocking. And I have an online shop in which I sell resources to everybody, and I give my members a 50% discount. I use Xero for reporting, and we'll have a look at the reports that come out of Xero. Xero, prior to that, I was my accountant, or the associate, I say my, it wasn't mine. The association accountant was doing everything, and I had no information to base my decisions on when I took over. Same with the membership database, was actually a spreadsheet. And prior to my actually landing on the ground, someone had actually sorted it incorrectly, and so I had to start from scratch. And so we used NAC, which is an app. I use MailChimp for my communications. I have a quarterly newsletter that goes out, and I have email digests that go out every 6 weeks. And I select the material, and I'll show you how I select that. I use Zapier for interactivity between different apps. So you can actually link up apps that don't normally sync, and it'll sync it for you. And finally, I use Survey Matters, which is a partner of AuSAE, and I look at their benchmarking in there, and then I benchmark against myself and my organisation. Right, so Weebly is a free website app, and we built our website through Weebly, and they don't charge you until you actually go live on it, which is really good. I use Google Analytics to report on that. So if you have a look here, where's my little... Oh, big. This one here, you have a look at here. We're forever being told that everyone is using their mobiles, correct? But if you have a look at that, there's the tablet and the mobile down the bottom there. Most people are still using their desktops to access our website. Even though Weebly is mobile friendly, it's the desktop applications that are applying. Over to there's my users per day. There's traffic that is directed back to my website from my social media. I have LinkedIn, I have Facebook, I have Twitter. And I manage those myself. And I'm not what you would call very proactive in Twitter, but I use that to garner information rather than actually put it out there. This one here, these are the most popular pages. This dictates my content, or where my focus should be when I'm actually putting stuff together for my members, because this is what they're looking at. Most of it revolves around training, training providers, the directory, industry resources, and contacts. So I can actually work out exactly where I'm going to go with my communications over the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months, or a year. Out here is the links that send me the traffic. And in there we have McLeod Cranes, one of our members. WorkSafe. Our name's scattered all through the WorkSafe regulations, which is really great for us. And down here is another member. And then look down there, Facebook. So I can make my decisions on where I want my organisation to go by analysing this data on a regular basis. Down here, you know, we're a New Zealand organisation, but you look there, United States, United Kingdom, Philippines, and it's all about cranes. I do have a reasonably high bounce rate because a lot of people are looking for whooping cranes or yellow-crested cranes or spotted cranes. So when they come to the crane.org, of course they're totally disgusted when all they see is this construction crane on the front page. But you can see down here a graphic of the countries that actually access our website on a regular basis. This is a really great tool. Now you can adjust this. It has changes in it that you can put in your behavioural changes, gender changes, ages. You can actually change it to suit whatever you want to get out of it. Down the bottom here, if you write that down, I'll move out of your way. If you write that down, that there will tell you how to actually put Google Analytics into your website so that you can actually start tracking this data. And you just go into that and it will tell you what the code is that you embed in your website, and you just get your, if you do it yourself, great. Then you put it in yourself, but if you have someone looking after your website, get them to put it in. And what happens is that you then get Google Analytics will come up and you can log into it and you can actually research your information. And you can look at who's sitting on your website now. You can look at all sorts of different demographics that are going to help you make decisions within your organisation. So that's our Weebly site for the Crane Association. Oh, change one. This is my Safe Crane. So this is the knowledge repository, and this has only been going 12 months. So in here, as you can see up there, it's not a high usage of numbers, but the same demographics. Look at the 90% desktop use. My landing pages, glossary terms, dogmen, lift planning, operators, you know, all the meaty, chunky bits of my organisation. And here's the page titles, what they're pulling out of it, glossary of terms for the safety manual, dogman, riggers, workplace supervisors. Safe Crane is actually split up into crane users, crane owners, dogmen, and operators, crane operators. So at any level within the industry, they can come in and they can draw down on the information that is in there. And again, you look at the referrers, it's actually our own website that drives people to it, but I've got it, Safe Crane on Facebook, I've got Safe Crane on LinkedIn as well. And Bing, my favourite, Bing. Doesn't tell me anything, other than a lot of people are using Microsoft Bing to access the internet. And down here, visits from universities, which, you know, is unusual, but the reality is, I think they're hunting the other type of crane, because if you have a look at the average duration, 0. Now, Shopify. We had a method of actually selling some of our resources, and it was turning over about $6,000 a year in 2013 before we put the shop up. And Shopify, again, is another free resource that you can build yourself, and you add your products, you add your pricing structures, you can actually follow your inventory and everything with it. And at the end of the day, it makes it relatively easy. And now I've hooked up a credit card facility with the shop so that people can actually pay online, and our members can pay by invoice and they obtain their discount. Shopify have advised me today that they now have a new payment method which is going to save me all the costs of my credit card facility. So I'm going to be investigating that when I get back, and that just means I'm going to be making a bit more money. Shopify is under Crane Training New Zealand Limited. As I said, it has charitable status. It's tax-free. I don't pay tax. And again, all over the world. Xero. Now, I was struggling, really struggling to understand the finances of the association when I first took over. And I couldn't understand why it was taking 2 months or 3 months to get a report out of my accountant, and until I met him. And then I found out he's a lovely guy, but he writes everything in pencil, and he wasn't really computer literate. And fortunately, he took on a young Chinese guy, Liang, and Liang is really a guru of it, and he is introducing his whole client base to Xero, and I was one of the first to climb on board with it, because with Xero now I have instant access to all the information that I need on my business, and I can make decisions on spending decisions. I know how much money I've got on my bank right now, right at the last minute. You know, it just changes. As soon as a bill comes in, it's all done. I've got network referral keys, so everyone else in my membership who is on Xero, we can actually incorporate the network referral keys into their business, and what happens then is the invoices are automated for them. So it just goes out, they pay it, we just check off the money in the bank. Probably the most ones that we look at is the profit and loss, balance sheet, and trial balance. Aged receivables is my favourite, and I have people who don't like paying their bills, like any other organisation. They get 2 phone calls from me and a letter from me to say that if they don't pay their bill, that I'm going to put them into the debt collectors. And we use a credit control agency for that. And it's amazing how fast they pay it as soon as they get a letter from the credit agency. And they don't hold it against me. You know, they're just playing the game, stretching out their limited finances. And also, like for GST tax returns, tax reports, I also use the leave app thing to control my leave because I'm a 1%er. I am the only one in my organisation on full-time employment, and I have a part-time administration lady who, fortunately for me, happened to be the CEO of an association before she joined me. So the association's got 2 CEOs and she's the boss. It's that simple. Very smart lady. And also, along with the leave, is the payroll. So we actually have Xero runs the payroll for us, and so we're able to manage that, and I can justify my pay rises by how much money I'm actually making for the association and how well we're doing, which is really good. And that's a good thing for CEOs to get pay rises and bonuses, and particularly on what they're doing. My accountant, he basically looks after the transitions between and pays all our bills, and I do that through an app called Approval Max. So I do workflow from me to the president, and from the president back to the accountant as the authorities for approving expenditure. And what happens there is that I approve it at my level, and through Approval Max it automatically goes to the president's phone. He sits there, he pulls it up, it shows him the invoice, he can match it. If he doesn't like it, he rings me and he says, I've rejected that one because I want to know more about it. That's fine. Right. As soon as he's done it, it goes to the accountant and then he pays the bill. I do my cycle on the 15th of the month. The president normally does his the same day, and all the bills are paid on the 20th of the month. We talked about NAC. Now, NAC is a free database, and you can build your database from scratch. All you need to know is what you want to put in it. And the things that we wanted in it was we needed a crane directory. So I know how many cranes, crane types, crane models, individual crane, who owns them, where they own them, and what's in the national fleet. I have 85% of the mobile crane industry as members of the association. We're now moving into the engineering workshops that have gantry cranes, and we're moving into the manufacturing sector that have gantry cranes, because there's a little piece of legislation that says a crane is a crane if it does this, and gantry cranes are included in that. They've never had it in the past, and so many of them out there still don't know that they're running a crane. For them it's a tool. So we're working our way through that, and we're sending out mail and information to them to advise them that they have a responsibility around that. But what you're seeing here is, go back. What you're seeing here is what the public sees on our website. How many of you actually publicise your members to the general public? Great. What about the others? Why don't you publicise your members? It's a service to them so that they know, people out there know, if they want a crane, they can look up our directory and they can pick a company in their region that has the type of crane that they want. And for the regions, it's particularly important. East Coast, West Coast of the South Island, Northland, or even Southland, right? It's really important that they have access, because most of their work is on a day-to-day basis. They don't get involved in the big infrastructure contracts or the big commercial building contracts. Those are normally in the triangle, Auckland, Tauranga and Hamilton. But all that information's there with contacts, branches, and everyone's free to get it. And if someone wants to poach them, you know, and put them into their own association, you'll actually find that many of these guys are in Jonathan's association as well, the Heavy Haulage Association, or in the Road Transport Forum. This is my favourite, MailChimp. The industry average for a non-profit is 19.8% opening ratio for communications. There's mine. Depending what I'm saying. Right? Depends on what I'm saying. But because I know what is working, I'm now able to communicate exactly what they're after. And it's normally safety alerts, industry news, new technology, and I can send it to them. But in this instance here, 178 full members with cranes, and 68.5%, total clicks 327. No one were forwarded them, but there were 1,765 opens. So they've gone back in and repeatedly, and I honestly think they are forwarding them on, but it's just not showing up on the demo. Demographics, gender, male, female, and unknown. So that covers everyone else. And then age range, 18 to 24. In our industry, people join our industry from 24 to 27 because they have a full driver's license. They have some work experience. We get a lot of people coming out of the universities who have Bachelor of Arts degree in hypothetical knowledge. And they join us and find out that a crane operator can earn up to $80 an hour. And all of a sudden it becomes, ooh, you know, that's more than I'd make if I was a hypothetical knowledge consultant. And so they do it. So if you have a look there, so 25 to 34. So what we're seeing here is that it's the front desk people who are getting to open this stuff. So we're talking about gatekeepers before. You've got to diversify that. So if you have a look at my contact list on MailChimp, I've got over 500 in it, but I've only got 223 members because I add other staff into it. And of course, they get the mail and they say, oh, I want to be a part of that, so they just sign in. But MailChimp, in fact, is a really cool device. Again, as before, I didn't get that. Rod, you never sent that to me. Hang on a minute. Yeah, you opened it on Thursday the 24th at 3:15 p.m. and you on-forwarded it 3 times. Didn't you read it? And there's just a stunned silence, you know, the old stunned mullet approach at the end of the phone. You do have to be careful because it can be seen to be Big Brother, but it all depends on how you put it across. And like I sort of take the mickey out of them a little bit, you know. Are we running out of time, Brett? Thank you. This is Zapier. This is an app that you can download, or it's an online app actually. And what you can do is you can actually link your information. So you've got RSS feeds to NAC. You've got create NAC records from Google Forms. I'm totally in a Google environment. I use Google Suite. My files, my whole office structure is all in the cloud. I don't have to be at work. I don't have to go into an office. I can work from home, I can work from my office down at the marina. You can work from anywhere. And also, it gives you sharing facilities like you wouldn't believe, so that people can actually, under the Google Sheets and Google Docs, the interaction between a group of people, like I have 3 subcommittees on my association because I'm not technically minded, and so they actually do all the hard work, and I just take all the praise, as most of us would do, you know. MailChimp, add MailChimp subscribers from NAC records, create new NAC records from webhooks. I mean, I wouldn't know what a webhook is, but it does it. And then, of course, add new Xero invoices to NAC as new records. So there's that interaction between my database and my financial package. Survey Matters is an association's matter. It was one of the partners of AuSAE, and in 2014 I took part in their sector study, and this was some of the findings that come out about membership, about agreed that the management of the association understand their members' challenges. And this is important because your board has a very limited view on what goes on in the total industry. And if your board is restricted in their, they're all, for me, all mobile crane operators, and there's no tower crane operators, or there's no, professional lawyer or professional accountant in there, then all they see is what's in their business, and they're relating to their business the whole time. 71% indicated representation across members was equal. Like me, I have the Fletchers, the Downers, the big construction teams on my membership, but I also have the guy who's got one crane and he's flogging himself to death, 365 days a year to try and make a living, right? There is a bit of inequality, but the big guys join the association because for professional reasons. They don't need us. They don't need my information. They don't need anything. It's the SMEs that we really look after, and so that's where my focus is. 92% of members value newsletters and communications, providing updates on industry issues. That's what they sign up for. They want to know about what's going on. But I would suggest that if you get the opportunity with Survey Matters, have a look at it. Areas, Frank Lloyd Wright was an architect, and he says, get the habit of analysis. Analysis will in time enable synthesis to become your habit of mind. So a habit is something that you do as naturally as you eat, drink, or sleep. So if you do this analysis in your business will grow, but it becomes a normal, routine part of your business, and it will help you plan and progress the future of your business. So that's it, team. I've just been given the thumbs up that I'm 2 minutes over. Any questions at all? Yes?
I don't understand what you're selling through Shopify.
Oh, Shopify, I have health and safety resources. I have a crane safety manual that every trainee in the country receives, and people outside the organisation buy that. I have lift plans that it's compulsory to have in Christchurch and with some of the big infrastructure alliances now, so they buy them online. So there's a whole raft of posters, signs, little cards that show them the hand signals, and it all helps them to actually develop the operators so that the operator can be the best that they can be. Yeah, we have a big input into training as well. We help design the training and all the unit standards and the New Zealand certificate. We're heavily involved in that, and we're also heavily involved with the legislation in that we now help with the scope and the framework for the legislation through the regulatory authorities. They actually pull us in and we sit down and help them write that so that we get our components in there before it even gets to consultation.
Great. Right. Awesome.
Thank you.
Right.